A while ago I showed that I'm working on a command line AI agent, kind of a one shot like Claude minus P, where you just ask it a question and you get the answer. But I want to make it really easy to add custom tools and so forth. And so I've done some more work on this and I want to show a bit of that. So here I have a tool that can get access to release information for a certain repository. And the repository has two flags, one for the org and one for the repository. And it can also show you the releases that was made with IDs. And you need the ID if you want download stats for a specific release. And so a good example of a thing that I want to be able to do with the LLM is give it these tools safely so it can't mess around and run random bash stuff, but then have it tell me multi-step answers. So if I were to look at these stats, it's quite difficult to get a view over multiple releases here. What is the most downloaded binary across multiple releases? That's quite difficult. And so what I want to do is use an LLM to do that for me. And so what I'm going to do is Fisk AI run for the most recent 5 stable, I'll make it free, it's a bit smaller, stable releases. What is the most downloaded OS and architecture? And so what it needs to do is list the releases, pick the stable ones. It's asking for additional information for NAT IO NAT server. Okay. And it should pick the stable releases, because we also do a bunch of RC releases, and so it shouldn't do it for RC releases. And then for each of those, fetch the download counts, and we can see here it's excluded the RC candidates. And then it must make me a report of the information. So it's got to read each of the reports, internally figure out what the counts are, and show me the report. And so you can see here's the output. Downloaded OS, free reasons, and not a surprise, it's Linux. And it's showing me the counts and all this kind of stuff. So really good. I'll show another example here using NATS. And what I have here is the NATS CLI, standard NATS command. A couple of its commands pulled out into tools, and then I want to be able to ask it a few things. What's the biggest stream on the system? Summarize its state. And again, it's gonna have to do a report on all of the streams, and then it has to do an info on the one, and it has to interpret and show me what it says. And let's see. So it's done the report, sorted it by messages, and it's now going to fetch these things. And here we can see the largest stream by count, number of messages, deleted messages, etc., and a quick summary of the configuration. And I can say for the what is it called? Chaz stream. Here we go. Chaz stream. Summarize its consumers. And it's gonna have to do a consumer analysis, consumer info on each, and show me the summary. And so the thing here is if you want to make an LLM agent do things for you, tools is the real challenge. You're going to struggle to get tools into it by default, and so you have to write a bunch of really complex code to make tools. And what I'm trying to do with this system is make it easy to write the tools and easy to then turn that into an LLM. And we'll see that in a second. So here we can see the two consumers, and it's telling us a little bit about it and so forth. Now let's have a look at how this works. I'm going to go back to the repo stats one. Fisk AI info. We can see there's two releases, two tools, and there's a short little prompt. Now, the way this is done is I have a Fisk-based like make or rake or task or one of these things. There's a thing in Fisk that lets you write those kinds of tools. And so when I do report, releases, help, we can see flags and so forth. And in reality, this is a YAML file, and it has two inputs, org and repo. It's gonna run the command, filling in the org and the repo, and then turn that into the report that you see. And what's important, really important here, is it has validation and all this kind of stuff. And so, for instance, I cannot pass in shell escape things. So let's say repo nats server, and it fails. So app builder, which is what the tool is called, lets you wrap command line tools and so forth in validation and then safely run it. Here we can see this is a command. It will shell split it and it will run it by an exec as array arguments. So there's not even a shell involved here. There's no opportunity for shell injection or anything like that. This is a safe way to make a tool, a safe way to make where you don't trust the input. And then what Fisk AI essentially do is introspect that command, expose them as tools, and not shown here, but it even exposes to the LLM full schemas of the arguments. If it's an array, if it's an enum, every enum value is there. The full schema of the CLI is exposed to the agent, and so it gives it a very safe way to run things. The final thing that we can do here is I've started an MCP server, and here I'm going to add it to Claude. And when I run Claude, we can see repo stats is there, the two tools are there, and we can see what the inputs and outputs and so forth is with the schema. And we can ask it what were the most downloaded binary for the latest NATS IO NATS server, and it will now use the tools, and now we've got the full Claude stuff, so it's going to probably ask me. Oh no, I previously approved it, so and here we go, we can see the output. And so this takes any Fisk written CLI and turns it into an MCP. So let's have a look. So here's the agent YAML. So basically we give it a name. That's what's going to be in the MCP on Claude side and elsewhere. We tell it what to run, and so ABT is like that makes these commands. We expose the MCP on a certain port, it's optional. We're going to use Sonnet, so we spend a little bit less on the model, and here's a prompt. You can think of the prompt as a single file skill. So if your command line has certain behaviors or anything like that, you can just explain it all here. Just type out a thing like you would a skill, and that is going to be what drives the one-shot command that's being run. Let's look at the NATS one. So I'm passing it to a certain specific NATS binary, and in this case I'm giving it a list of tools. Let's comment this out. And if I did Fisk AI info, we can see now there's a ton of tools. This is essentially the entire NATS CLI is there. This would be too much for the typical LLMs. They have limits. Claude has a 22 limit, and so you help it by giving it what it needs. But also, if you do want to put all of the tools into the LLM, you could. It support Claude's tool search feature that defers loading them all up. And then Claude can search inside the tool registry and come back and choose which tools to use. So it's really good for just any command line written using Fisk. This is written in Go, the natural binary, and so it fetches out only these specific tools. And again, you can see there's a prompt and stuff. In future iterations of this, I'm going to make this agent potentially be remote promptable, and so I could import here another agent's tools, either through straight, they will show like their local tools and it will do a request reply to call those tools, or you could also expose another agent's prompt here. And so these Fisk AI tool agents will become full-fledged long-running multi-agent architecture, and you could have a central one that orchestrates a group of them. In Korea, we have strong concepts of identity, we have strong concepts of RBAC, and all this kind of stuff. And so these capabilities will be built on top of that, so that if there's, let's say, a Grafana agent that can expose stats and metrics about the system, that agent on their side can have RBAC and controls about who can call what tools and so forth. That'll be possible, simply because Core already has those capabilities. And so yeah, so that's the general idea. A really easy way to create tools using App Builder's capabilities, and then a really easy way to turn those tools and expose them to the LLM safely. Safety is very important. At no point do you give the LLM a bash tool like the normal Claude shell, for instance, has. It cannot run random crap. It cannot run commands that you don't give it. And the App Builder and the CLI tools becomes the guardrails, the control, the input validation, and all that kind of stuff. And you can write those using Go, or you can write them using YAML like here, and they become full-fledged tools, either to a local one-shot AI like I've shown, or into Claude, or into other places. So that's where I'm at. I haven't yet released this or anything like that. I will. It will take some time for me to get there, as I'm a bit busy at the moment, but I will finalize this local mode where it doesn't sit on the network yet, get that released, and then we will look towards multi-agent orchestration and remote tool calls and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's it for now. Nice little toy, and I'm really liking the flow of being able to take my App Builder commands and turn them into AI agents. I think that abstraction that App Builder provides to create these tools, both one that I can run interactively as a human and share it with my AI agent, I think is a really powerful concept, and it gives me the point at which predictable, deterministic behavior sits. I control that, I build that, and the AI is extremely limited in what it can do, and it's going to call just the tools that I've given it, and it gets deterministic outcome. I'm very happy with that. Okay, that's it for tonight.